Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jen Trepic, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. This week, we're talking about 10, 3, 2, 1, 0. So what do all these numbers mean? Well, let me first start by saying that they're easy to remember for me because it reminds me of 90210. And I was absolutely a 90210 fan my entire life. So no, they're not a lock combination. Well, not really, but they may unlock better sleep and better metabolic health. So 10, 3, 2, 1, 0 or 1, 0 is a recipe or a plan or a strategy, whatever you want to call it, for better sleep that supports metabolic health and potentially targets belly fat. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Sounds ideal.
I know. So I know everybody's ears just perked up. So I learned this from Dr. Ashley Lucas. Some of you may recognize her name. All right, 10, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's talk about each number. So 10 is the number of hours before bed you want to stop caffeine. Now, before everybody freaks out, this actually isn't so unreasonable. If you go to bed at 10, that's no caffeine after 12 noon, right? If you rely on that caffeine dose in the afternoon, let's look at what else is going on, right? You might want to go back to our episode called Beyond Caffeine, Natural Ways to Improve Energy. So that was 10. 3 is the number of hours before bed we are ending food and alcohol. This is also doable. I know that you just gave an oof, but think about it. Like if we're going to bed between 10 and 11, that's ending food 7 to 8. Most days of the week, I feel like we can do that, especially post-pandemic. I feel like everything in the evening is earlier than it was before the pandemic. I also think like this isn't news. Right? Like we talk about this when we talk about sleep. We talked about it in our Q&A for women over 40. We talk about it. We talk about intermittent fasting, right? All of these things. So 3 is the number of hours before bed that we're going to finish food and alcohol.
Okay.
2 is the number of hours before bed when we remove the screens. I know this one hits real hard.
Yeah, real hard. Oh my gosh.
And I'm really working on this, but like the thing that I think about every time, I'm like, well, I'm definitely going to go to sleep earlier because 2 hours without screens, what else is there to do at night?
And also, does that include screen like TV?
Yes.
Or like a Kindle?
So I don't know what her answer is on Kindle. I'm going to say yes on Kindle, even though it still kind of is more paper.
Yeah.
In appearance. But there's something even Pavlovian about screen besides the blue light. So that's why I'm sort of a no on the Kindle, but I don't know what she would say. But yes, this phone, TV, all the screens, computer.
Yeah, like I don't even think there's anything to do for 2 hours. Like I can do a face like routine with my eye mask and stuff.
Right.
Like 10 minutes.
I know. And then I'm like, I guess I need paper books instead of.
But then you have the light on. And like, if you fall asleep, like.
Well, you can start to do dim light.
Yeah.
Red hued light, amber light. So, okay. So 2 hours is where she says no screens. 1 hour before bed is when she says no more work. So I wanted to like, if I were making this prescription, right, this formula for me, I would swap the 2 and the 1. So I would say no work 2 hours, no blue light 1 hour.
Well, yeah, because 95% of us, if we say no work, like you're going to do your work on a computer.
Well, that's what I was thinking, right? I guess like how many people, like I guess maybe lawyers or physicians, like people who read paper documents.
I don't know. I think
during the no screens part,
I think everything's pretty digital.
I think so too. So this is her formula, so for me personally, I would probably switch those. I think the big piece of this though is giving our mind time to unwind and not having it going with work things and then thinking we're going to turn the light off and fall asleep instantly. Okay. 0. is the number of times we hit snooze the next morning.
Yeah, I'm good on that one.
Yeah, I've gone through phases in my life. I'm back to like the snooze goes off, but I didn't go back to sleep. I'm like laying in bed awake, doing things.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because all of this is not only supporting sleep, but the body's stress response. And this is a great way for us to work with our bodies. We're supporting anti-inflammatory properties. We're supporting insulin sensitivity. We're giving the body tools and environment to not build visceral fat. And it also works the other way too, where our better sleep because of these things reduces inflammation, right? Like everything works together. And I think, no coincidence, right? That this also aligns perfectly with this week's episode where we talked about daily habits that serve or sabotage your health and hormones, right? So if you haven't listened yet, when you finish here, go back to that one. So for the 10-3-2-1-0, the question I think becomes, how do we do this, right? And often we talk about waking up at the same time and going to sleep at the same time every day. And so the simplest way I think to make this happen is, first, quick reminder, start with the morning. Just start to wake up at the same time every day, and your bedtime will start to fall in place. Then, once we know what bedtime we're aiming for, we can work backwards. So, Steph, what's your typical bedtime?
I would say I get in bed between 10 and 10:30, and then probably asleep by like 10:45. If on a normal day, if I'm really tired, it's a little bit earlier, but I would say I start wind down at 10.
Yeah. For me, I would be thrilled if I was winding down at 10:30, but oftentimes that's happening at 11. It's me and those screens, just saying. Okay, so sometimes I'm working, but Okay, so if we work from that bedtime, right, even if I use 10:30, and then we work backwards and put alarms in our phone or Post-its around home. Now, with the alarms on the phone, the way to do this is in your calendar with words, as a recurring event every single day. So it says the thing, it automatically happens every single day. You don't have to manually put it in every day. And you set it up with a reminder for like 15 minutes before. Maybe another one 5 minutes before, right? You do you know that piece of it. There are other pieces of this where I need the Post-it. So for example, 0 on the snooze, maybe you put a Post-it on your alarm clock as the reminder. 1 hour stop working or stop at the screen, that's an alarm on my phone. Right? That's the 9:30 p.m. alarm for my 10:30 bedtime. And like I said, realistically, that alarm needs to buzz me a few minutes before so that I can wrap up whatever I'm doing. I think the 2 hours before for the screen time, the blue light, for me is also an alarm on the phone. The 3 hours of food might be, an alarm on the phone that says, kitchen and bar closed, like 12:30, right? So that would be 7:30 p.m. for the kitchen and bar closed for my 10:30 bedtime. 12:30, the alarm says caffeine complete, right? Or maybe make it fun, right? Maybe yours says bye-bye buzz, or skip the drip, whatever. Like come up with something that makes it, a little more fun, but what it means. So now the calendar alerts. By the way, for me, I'm potentially also putting a Post-it on top of the phone or using some of the settings on the phone so it doesn't alert me to every single thing after that time cutoff.
When you turn on the focus on your phone in the health app, it's 9:45. The notifications are muted, but you can also say, like, if it's family or friends or something important, you can put them on the exception list so that their texts will get through, their calls will go through. So I have like a couple people on there as well.
Awesome. And maybe you start with a couple of these, but 10-3-2-1-0 or 1-0, however you want to say it. It's like if the calendar alerts me, I'm on it. And I love this that I'm moving toward better sleep, better health, addressing visceral fat, addressing inflammation. To me, there's like no downside.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think for you too, like what you said in the hormone episode, like it's context specific too, right? Like I don't think, like ideally we could do these things every single day. But I also think like there's some days where I'm like, well, I can do like 3 of them pretty well. But there's other days where you're like, if I'm going to bed at, 10:30, but I don't have dinner until 7:30, like, but maybe I choose to eat different things at that dinner versus like a lot of spicy food or something that I know is probably not going to sit well. Like I'll eat maybe a little bit of a lighter meal so that it doesn't tax my system so much when I go to bed.
1,000%. And I think, remember, our health is a function of what we do most of the time.
Right. 80%.
So, are you doing 10-3-2-1-0 most of the time? Awesome. Could we move in that direction? Why not?
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah. And I love your little reminders. Like, it's great.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Jen Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I am at Jen Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideofries.com. Pick your platform, send a message. I truly love hearing from you. It is the highlight of my everyday, whether it's your ideas for a nutrition nugget, your takeaways, your questions. These platforms are also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach. Steph, thank you again for joining me for this one.
Thank you. This was so much fun. I learned a lot because there's always 1 or 2 little takeaways that I try to apply. So thank you, Jen, for having me.
Thank you. And of course, everybody, if you are not already a member, I invite you to the Happy Healthy Hub. You'll go to asaladwithasideofries.com/membership. This shows your support for this podcast, this community, and your health. On top of the 24/7 Ask Me Anything, on top of the community chat, the discounts, curated content, you will get this week's recipe for the teriyaki turkey lettuce wraps. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform, share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it and you are worth it. Happy healthy.